And so I really kind of had what I will say is an unhealthy relationship with work and with money because I was very much in my masculine throughout the majority of my career. And really, my value was derived from producing. So I
Mm.
was very much like, I produce, I'm driven. I have started and successfully grown and scaled multiple companies, which, great news, bad news. The problem with that is I wasn't paying attention a lot to my family. I put my work and my hustle above them, which is not great. I spent quite a bit of time drinking. Had started my relationship with alcohol when I was still early in my teenage years and continued that until I was 39, which was about
Mm.
9 years ago. And so what happened back then was I had a situation where I was in a male dominated field for my whole career and really leaning into that. I didn't deal with vulnerability or emotions because that felt messy to me, kind of being in the male dominated field that I was. And then back in 2015, my sister passed away very unexpectedly in a tragic way, and I didn't know what to do with all of that grief.
Hi. Maybe you are at the beginning of your inner spiritual journey, or maybe you've been here for a long, long time. However the case is, warm welcome to my pod Shift Your Energy by Meditation Jam with Maria Rinné. And this is a part of my podcast that is created to be your guide, your inspiration and your companion, moving through a time that is highly transformational, where we are shifting our drive from our mind to our heart and soul. And I am your host, Maria. I am here to share my stories, tools and lessons from my own inner journey that I've been on now for a bit over 2 decades, as well as exploring the many ways we can all reconnect to the energy within. And we will dive deep into what it means to grow, to heal, to show up, and to expand your awareness with the aim to bring you insights that sparks that beautiful shift. Please take what resonates with you. This is not a religion nor a science. It is a way of life that is connected to your heart and the magic of life. And I am here as an example. And I'm really happy to share how it started, the journey through, and where I am right now. So I hope you will be inspired, maybe entertained, as well as we will in some episodes explore some powerful tools and techniques to shift your energy and to realign you with yourself, your life force, and your beautiful pure purpose. Sometimes it will be just you and me, and other times I'll be inviting guests, visionaries, light workers and kindred spirits to share their wisdom and inspire us all. So whether you're beginning your spiritual journey or seeking new perspectives along the way, or just want to recognize yourself in these stories to witness your journey, I hope that Shift Your Energy will be a space to learn, to laugh and connect on a deeper level. So let's walk this path together and discover what happens when we turn inward, when we switch on that light, expand our power, connect, walk our talk and start to step into that more joyful new way of life that is here for us all. So are you ready? I know that I am. Warm welcome, let's begin. Hi and warm welcome, and in this episode of Shift Your Energy, I am joined by the incredible Anne Karber, a true force of nature when it comes to drive and passion for life and changing your life. Anne started her journey with an unshakable belief that everyone can succeed and has built a dynamic career rooted in creativity, courage and constant growth, and she is someone who not only pushes her own limits but inspires others to do the same. Anne is committed to lifting others up and helping you to step into your full potential. And her journey of becoming sober, letting go of being a workaholic, and finding herself is a powerful reminder that with determination, passion, and a little bit or maybe a big bit of fearlessness, any challenge can become a stepping stone for something extraordinary. So buckle up. This is an episode full of energy, inspiration, and real talk. And we do go further in the extended version for you as a Substack subscriber. You have the link below where Anne shares a tool for how to look at perspectives from her new book. So with that, I just want to say warm welcome, Anne. Lovely to have you here.
So warm welcome, and I'm so happy to have you here. How are you doing?
I'm wonderful, Maria. Thank you. Thank you so much for asking.
Yeah, and I just talked to you, and you are situated in Arizona. Yep, so
Yes.
you're about to start today.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Yeah. And I know that you have just released a book in October, and we're going to get to that. I'm going to get to what I kind of think is a movement that you are starting as well. But first,
Yes.
I always like to hear my guests, their story, how you came to be where you are today, or maybe some ups and downs to inspire the listeners, if you like to share.
Yes, I would be happy to. So I'll start kind of from the beginning a little bit just to give a little bit of an overview. So I am one of five kids that was born to parents in South Dakota. I grew up on a ranch and a farm back there, and moved to Colorado about halfway through my years of growing up. As soon as I got out of high school, I moved down to Arizona. I had my first daughter very young. I was only 19 when I had her. I grew up very fast, and so that brings all sorts of challenges along with it. So I ended up having three kiddos and two marriages. I have always been very, very ambitious. Growing up with the opposite of money was hard for me. It
Mm.
actually kind of shaped who I am as a human being because I remember when I was younger actually being embarrassed about not having money. Again, there's five of us kids and my dad was a farmer. So you can imagine that times were tight most of
Yeah.
the times. And so, and that really drove me. And so I really kind of had what I will say is an unhealthy relationship with work and with money because I was very much in my masculine throughout the majority of my career, and really my value was derived from producing. So I
Mm.
was very much like I produce, I'm driven. I have started and successfully grown and scaled multiple companies, which great news, bad news. The problem with that is I wasn't paying attention a lot to my family. I put my work and my hustle above them, which, is not great. I spent quite a bit of time drinking. Had started my relationship with alcohol when I was young, when I was still early in my teenage years, and continued that until I was 39, which was about
Mm.
9 years ago. And so what happened back then was I had a situation where I was in a male dominated field for my whole career and really leaning into that. I didn't deal with vulnerability or emotions because that felt messy to me, really kind of being in the male dominated field that I was.
Yeah.
And then back in 2015, my sister passed away very unexpectedly in a tragic way, and I didn't know what to do with all of that grief. When something like that happens, it literally brought a truckload of grief to my front door, and I had no idea how to handle it. So already
Mm.
coming from a place where I was already a heavy drinker, I continued to just drink myself off of the rails. And in 2016, at the end of 2016, decided that it was time to get sober. So I went to rehab. And so I have spent the last 9 years of my life kind of figuring things out.
Mm.
Part of my story is that I didn't figure out who Anne was early on because of being such a young mom. I moved out of my parents' house when I was 16 years old. Again, just part of the growing up very fast, but I had a lot of responsibilities from a very young age. And that really shaped who I was as a person, both in how I was driven, but also the choices that I made. And the last 8 or 9 years have been really instrumental for me to slow things down a little bit and figure out who Anne was and what are the ingredients that make up my recipe. I had quite a bit of trauma from when I was a child that I never processed. I didn't really
Mm.
understand that. For those of us that are on the older side of the spectrum, we understand therapy wasn't really a big thing. We didn't talk about that. It wasn't. It's very much push things under the rug. We just don't talk about that. I was raised in Catholicism. My parents are very organized religion, and that just didn't fit with me. That didn't kind of land with what felt true for me. And so I always felt like a fish out of water. It kind of felt like I got dropped down into a place in this human experience that didn't feel right to
Mm.
me. And so being able to in my early 40s figure out who I was, what made me tick, what did I want, what sparks my soul has kind of led me to where I am now. So writing a book, and I have a business that handles like logistics for other small businesses. And so I really enjoy doing that. I have a podcast. And so now I'm much more soul forward in how I lead my life instead of leading from the ego. I've had lots of healing things that have happened over the last handful of years that have really just shaped who I am. And I don't think that it's making me who I am. I think it's almost remembering who I am without all of that muck that kind of gets on top of you when life happens. So
Mm.
being able to really kind of strip all of that away to figure out who Anne is at the core and what sparks my interest and my soul has been really what I've been leaning into in the last couple of years. So,
Mm.
yeah, that's kind of me in a nutshell. I'm married. I have 3 kiddos that are now all grown. My baby is 19 and my oldest is getting ready to be 30. And, yeah, that kinda gives
Yeah.
you the overview.
Yeah, what a story. And I mean, I have to say, your energy is very vibrant. It's very, yes, you can tell that you have kind of got out on the other side. And was there because we were also 5 siblings when I was growing up, and one of my closest brother, he went into alcoholism, and he
Yes,
didn't make it,
yes,
unfortunately. Yeah. So I'm just curious, was there like a moment where you just, okay, it has to come from you. It has to come from the
yes.
person. Yeah.
Yes, you're absolutely right. Because of the fact that I spent so much time drinking and had started so young, I was really good at it, if you can
Mm.
say that, right? I know that
Mm.
sounds silly, but I didn't really get hangovers. I drank all the time. There weren't really adverse effects, right? I was the fun party girl when I drank, so I wasn't like I was angry or crying or any of that kind of stuff. I was always the life of the party. And so
Yeah.
it served me very well. And so even past the point where I knew I had a problem, I still kept doing it because at that point, alcoholism is very tricky because it lies to you. Alcohol lies to you. And also it's so hard to quit. It's just so ingrained in everything that you do. So even though you're making maybe decisions and choices that are not aligned with you, you justify it in one way or the other. And the next day you're just having the next drink again. And
Mm.
I was very much a functioning alcoholic where I still ran my businesses. I still got up early and took care of everything I needed to. I still made sure all the bills got paid and that everything was taken care of, but I was crumbling on the inside. So I got to this place where in 2016, I was coming home from a business trip and I had it. I was just so exhausted from just feeling like I had to just keep up in this hamster wheel. I was on empty. I was so on empty because I didn't realize how making yourself happy is an inside job and that you're the one who's supposed to do that. I always just thought it was other people's jobs to make me happy, which is silly. I didn't have a lot of the fundamentals. I didn't
Mm.
understand boundaries. I didn't understand emotional intelligence. I didn't understand so many of the different things that I've learned over the last years where before it was like if stuff happened, I just push it down and drink on top of it, push it down
Yeah.
and work on top of it. So I was very much a workaholic as well, very much in my masculine energy and very much producing. Which again, it serves you well because everyone's like, "Oh, you're doing such a great job. You're making all this money. You have all of these things." But I've never been more miserable in my life, than the
Mm.
years before I quit drinking because it was just you're in this hamster wheel of feeling like you're supposed to be keeping up with the Joneses and this whole mentality of just keep pushing it down and not really address and talk about the things. I was raised where we push everything under the rug, and so we
Mm.
don't really talk about there's so much shame and so much other things, and it's like, I call BS on that. That's what I do now is I just literally call BS on that because I think we're meant to be in community with one another. I think that we're meant to talk about the things that are hard in life. I don't think anyone is served by pushing things down or just numbing on top of it. And what I have found in my healing journey and my self-discovery journey is that life can be so much better. than what that was. It's a book that I wrote, and being able to figure out all of the things that I learned, my life is infinitely better because I just took control of my choices instead of
Mm.
thinking like life happened is happening to me. It's like, no, I'm happening to life, you know? So you can I used to be a big control freak, and you don't have control over anything in life, but you do have control over your choices. And when you realize, when you put your energy towards things that are important to you and really get intentional about your goals and becoming self-aware about what your part is and what you bring to the table, you can really see things in a way where it's powerful. You can make choices and be the architect of your life in whatever way you want it to be.
Mm.
But I just didn't know all of those things before, you know. So now I've done all of this therapy and books and podcasts and healing modalities. And I have figured out all of these things that I just want to scream from the rooftops because I
Yeah.
literally feel like I've found the cheat codes. Like, hey guys, I found another way is literally what I feel like. And it does not include hiding things or feeling like you can't talk about things or being embarrassed or ashamed about things. It's like, no, it's actually just the opposite. I now use vulnerability like a superpower, and an emotional intelligence to me is, I'm so addicted to it, not just in myself, but in other people, you know, and I don't think people realize, sure, IQ is important. And if you're smart, that's excellent. But if you have a low EQ, and somebody
Mm.
bumps into something on your ego and you react instead of take a minute and respond, all of that IQ work that you did can crumble very easily
Uh,
because you have an underdeveloped emotional intelligence. And so, as I've learned all of these things, not only about myself, but about other people around me as well, I'm just fascinated by it. I'm fascinated, and I love it so much that I'm just dedicated to really being able to lean into that and share with other people that they can also get very curious about themselves, right? It has nothing to do with anybody else. It's literally just all of your own inner work and
Mm.
all of the doors that that opens up for you, and really exploring that in yourself.
Yeah, and I had the story, but from the other side, like, it was my brother, and I remember when he passed away, I went through a lot of stages, but one stage was where I felt so it was like a kick in the stomach because my love wasn't enough, to save him, and then I went to the
Yes,
next stage where I realized it's not about me, and
it's
that is
not.
really like it has nothing to do with me, and to get to that side is really healing, I would say.
It is healing, but it's hard to do that, right? I mean, that
Yeah,
probably took you a little bit of time to do that because I think a lot of times too in society, we think we can save other people. And I
yeah,
spent a lot of time with that as well. So when my sister passed away, I had a lot of guilt associated with that because she was going down a path that I couldn't save her, but I tried. You know, I
yeah,
always would say, like, come here, I'll take care of you. She was with a guy that wasn't good for her and all of these things. And oh, let me save you. But like you said, it's not about me. That was
yeah.
her journey and her stuff. But it is really hard to realize that it's not our jobs to take care of other people. It's just our job to take care of ourselves. And
Mhm.
in doing that, if you really work on yourself and make yourself the best that you can be, that's what's best for the collective, anyways.
So from that, you started your podcast, and or maybe I just did other things, but your podcast is about the naked truth.
Yes, yes, my
Yeah.
podcast is called Let's Get Naked, and it's about stripping off all of the masks that I think a lot of us hide behind and a lot of the stories that we do to kind of keep ourselves comfortable. I think
Mm.
we've gotten to this place where if we feel discomfort to something, we kind of pull away from it, you know? And it's like,
Yeah,
no, 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 we're meant to lean into that. That's where
yeah.
growth lives. That's where the good stuff lives, is on the other side of that. And is it hard to have those conversations? Absolutely. But it's like, rip the Band-Aid off and really get curious about things. It's wild to me to watch the impact that this podcast has had on people because I get feedback where people are telling me, "Oh, that episode made me talk to my mom about something that I never would have talked to her about," or I was able to have a conversation with my spouse or with a friend that normally I wouldn't because I was trying to be nice and keep other people comfortable. But I think people should really understand is comfort is a four-letter word. And we're not supposed to be comfortable all the time. That's not where any of the good stuff lives. So sure, you can stay comfortable, but it's like having a low-grade fever for your entire life. Instead of
Yeah.
just rip the Band-Aid off, let the fever spike, figure out who you are, you know, say the hard thing, and then relax into it and realize, like, God, this life is really amazing if you just don't put all of this muck on top of it. But we just have gotten so used to putting all the muck on. It's like bad things happen and then we make excuses or then we don't heal or we don't process it. well, then you're just carrying that around like it's invisible weight. So
Mm,
all of those
mm.
things from when I was a child and from when I was a young adult that I didn't heal, I was just dragging them around like invisible weight. And so really being able to understand that throughout my healing journey and being so receptive to the work and what that looked like. And I was just really inspired to learn about myself because everything that I did for my own personal growth had a big ripple impact on everybody else around me. So the more that I
Mm.
worked on myself, the better mom that I was, the better friend that I was, the better wife that I was. And also, I was getting more enjoyment out of life for myself.
Mm.
So it's like, it seems very counterintuitive when you put all of this work into yourself because it's like, oh, there's so many other people in line that need you, right? Your kids, your parents, your all of the things. But you're not giving them the best version of you that you can. If you turn the magnifying glass around and look at yourself and really figure out which ways you want to be your happiest, best version, that gives them the best version as well. And
Yeah,
so it's so powerful to be able to understand that and to be able to share that with other people.
lovely. And I also think it's so great because you've gone through this journey, and as you say, to change and go from that, it's not easy because you have to look at your shadow parts and you have to do the work. And then
Yes.
some people, we do the work and we read the books and we do, but then we don't take action when it's time to take action.
Yes.
So it's like
Yes.
we know it, but we don't do it. And I'm thinking that part of your work is to get people to also do it.
Yes, exactly, because it's not like you said, right? You can read a book, and if you don't do anything about it, nothing is going to change. So to be able to understand how important that is, and also not let fear take that away from you. I think so many people live in fear, which I spent a lot of time of my life living in fear as well, and you just don't even realize it. But so many things are rooted in fear. And
Mhm.
I came to this place a couple of years ago where I made a commitment to myself of I will not live in fear. I will not live in fear. So when I would feel certain emotions or certain things that would come up, if they were low vibe emotions that were really rooted in fear, I would say, thank you for showing up and get out of my way because I'm not going to live that way. And you have the power to be able to do that. And so as you start kind of throwing up your own data points when you're doing things, right? When you're scared about doing something and you do it anyways and you realize, wow, that wasn't that hard, or you have a
Yeah.
vulnerable conversation with somebody where you feel like, I don't know if I want to do that. And then you do it anyways. And you're like, wow, that really ended up in a way that I couldn't have even imagined how incredible that was. Right. So it's like,
Mm.
yes, you can still feel the fear and do it anyways. I'm a big fan of being a cannonballer. I jump and then I kind of figure things out a little bit on the
Yeah.
way down. But highly recommend because it's like how many todays are you going to waste not doing something? You don't get
Mm.
any of these back, right? And too with your brother passing away, like treat life like it's a gift because your
Yeah.
brother doesn't get any more days, right? My sister
Yeah.
didn't get any more days. She was 39 when she passed. And it's like she doesn't get today. So if you're wasting days thinking like, I don't want to do that, or oh, that seems scary, or whatever, it's like that's all you have. This life is what you have. Like, when do you think it's going to start? It's in session right now. Start
Yeah.
doing the things. Do the things that scare you. Do the things that are bold. Do the things that are outrageous. Do the things that spark your soul and make you happy. I mean, there's no time like the present. Let's get to it.
Yeah. And sometimes we do it and we fail, and that's okay as well.
And
I
that's
mean,
okay.
because it's a lesson in
Yes.
itself.
We learn more from our failures than we do from our successes. And also, failures are feedback. That just tells you where
Yeah.
you need to
Yeah.
adjust. And so many people are afraid to fail. And it's like, what's the worst that's going to happen? That you fail or that you did nothing? I'd rather fail than sit on the sidelines.
So your journey now has taken you to write this book. So share about the book. Tell me about the book.
Yes. So the book is called The Life Hack Playbook. And it is basically kind of a culmination of the, first 6 or 7 years of work that I did when I was sober. All of the books that I read, all of the therapy, all of the things that I plugged into to really learn. It was all of that stuff, but kind of run through what I call the and filter because my brain processes things in a different way that I think a lot of people can relate to because it's not, I don't have a degree in psychology or I don't speak lab doctor speak. It's more
Yeah.
like I've touched that burner on the stove. It's hot. Let me share with you what I learned about that because I think we're meant to share with each other. I think this life is an open book test, or it should be treated like an open book test, and we should share with one another. And so the book is all of the different things that maybe I didn't necessarily understand. It explains boundaries and the way that my head made that work and how I was able to teach my kiddos boundaries in a way that they were able to work with. Or it explains how I visualize energy, because I think a lot of people don't realize energy is our biggest resource. It's bigger than time, it's bigger than money, it's bigger than everything. And where you put your energy, it will grow. And so there are a lot of people on this planet that spend a lot of time being negative, that spend a lot of time getting angry and worked up about things and screaming into the void, the internet or social media or any of those things.
Mm.
Well, if that's where you're putting your energy, that's what will grow. You will continue to be fear-based, anxious, just all of the things that come from that low vibe side of things. That's your choice, right? And people don't
Mm.
realize that. It's like that is a choice to do that. And if that's where you want to live, by all means, enjoy that. But when you realize that you cause your own suffering by the choices that you make, whether they're positive or negative, whether you feed your energy to this or to that, you're the one that's holding the paintbrush, right? So why
Yeah.
wouldn't you paint a picture that's something that you're really proud of and that brings a lot of joy and peace to you? So I feel like these chapters that are in this book, which are just the things that I learned, I think it hits people upside the head a little bit in the best possible way, where they can visualize it and go, okay, I never thought of it that way. Simple things like a yes to someone else is a no to you, right? And if you just
Mm.
think about that and you think about, okay, I'm doing all of these things that I don't want to do. I'm on my kids' PTA and I'm doing all of these things. I'm saying all of these yeses, even though I'm completely out of gas, right? And my body is
Yeah.
screaming, no, no more obligations, no more anything. And you do it anyways. It's like knowing that a yes to someone else is a no to you, just that awareness, and then knowing that you have permission to just say no. And a no is a full sentence, right? You're
Mm.
able to do that. You don't have to explain yourself to someone else. If it doesn't
Mm.
align with what you're doing, you can just say no, but thank you. Thank you for thinking of me. And then nothing, and then walk away from it. So there's just things like that that I think people just don't realize. And so they keep doing things because we were raised to be, I'm not sure if it's the same in Sweden, but in America, we're raised to be the good girl. We're
Mm.
raised to be polite and not take up too much space and all of these things. But it's like that doesn't serve us when you're
Mhm.
trying to just be the nice girl and not ruffle feathers and not make other people uncomfortable. It's like, yeah, but you're making yourself uncomfortable. Who's the more important person? I'm going to be with myself every day for the rest of my life. I'm the only person that I have. I sure as heck am not going to be the one that's uncomfortable anymore. But I spent a lot of years of my life not doing the things, not saying the things to keep other people comfortable from some perceived expectation. And it's like, that's not where it's at, you guys. I really truly believe that that's not where it's at.
Yeah, no, definitely not. And I also feel like there's a lot of, I don't know if it's, I'm probably both with men and women, but a lot of people who say yes to all the things because I don't want to say no. I don't want to be the person. So, and then that makes it that they can't do all the things. So then they have to
Yes.
say no in the last minute. And that creates problems for the one who is expecting that. So it's like this vicious circle of not showing up and becoming unreliable because you can't say no to begin with.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly, and so you cause your own suffering in that
Yeah.
situation, so really being able to practice and get real about things. Like, I encourage people to read the book. I encourage people to read the book with a friend so that you can talk about the different things of how does this present for me, right? What do you see in this from a close friend where they could offer you a
Yeah, good.
perspective? Because,
Mm.
yeah, because I think a lot of people don't realize, like, yes, read the book, but if you have someone that can kind of say what your impact is on them or on the world where maybe you didn't realize that. I think most of us are not very self-aware in this
Mm.
lifetime, and so they don't realize. When you said your brother passed away and how much that impacted you, he probably never had any idea how much his drinking impacted you. Most of us
Mm.
don't, right?
Yeah.
That's something for me that I have really has come to light more so since I started doing the podcast, because I would have, like, my kids that would come on, my daughters or my husband or different people that would say what my impact on them or what impact my drinking had. And that's a hard thing to hear, and also very healing, because I can take
Mm.
accountability for that and I can say, my bad, right? Because I was
Yeah.
just obviously in a bad place, and doesn't excuse the behavior, but it also can be just an accountability piece instead of making excuses. A lot of people make a lot of excuses for why they are the way that they are, and it's like, there's no power in victimhood.
Yeah.
So if you wanna make excuses and you wanna live in that, enjoy that, but know that there's a different way, that you have a different option, that you can make different choices and not just be in this hamster wheel of mediocrity. You actually have the power to be able to make some pretty amazing choices and be the architect of your life for however you want it to look.
So true, definitely, and so many people who needs to hear it, I think, as well.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
you're absolutely right. So it's
yeah.
like if you're willing to get curious about your life and who doesn't want a better life? Like everyone can say, "Yeah, of course I would want a better life." Then you have to be willing to do the work. Like you
Y
said, it's you can't just read a book. It's read a book and then do something. But if you just start doing small little things, right? There's lots of little life hacks in the book. If you start just doing a few of those and you realize, wow, I feel so much lighter, or oh, I feel, I don't feel so bogged down, or I don't feel so any of the things that will come from doing the work, it makes you wanna do the work more. Because it's
yeah,
like, "Okay, if I fix this one thing, if I level up here, my life gets better. Okay, now I'm gonna level up here. Okay, my life got even better." And now it just kinda turns into a game. Now
mm,
it's kind of like this game for me of the more things that I do to improve myself, the better it is, the better it is, the better again, then you're just better for everybody in your life. For a long time, I thought, "Oh, I'm taking better care of them because I'm this martyr who never takes care of myself and I run
yeah.
on empty all the time," right? That was what was modeled to me by my mother is just do, 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 do for everyone else, and so you feel like because that was what was handed down to you, that that's what you need to do, and it's like, "No, you guys, it's actually not like that at all. We're not meant to be like that."
I love it to hear it. And so in the book, or is it like, you said you have a few tools and things to, as
Yes.
well, and your story of
A little
yeah,
bit a little bit of the story, yeah, not very much of the story, the little bit in the
yeah,
intro, because I wanted the first book to just kind of be something that is a tool for people. This is kind of like the gateway, because a lot of the personal improvement books are very scientific or a lot of therapy speak. This is just the opposite of that. This is something that's very relatable for your average person to be able to read and say, "Okay, I can relate to that." And the goal is to make you want to go further, make you
mm,
want to dive into other things. But if someone was looking and saying, "Okay, I feel like I'm running my life on empty. I feel like I'm being pulled in 100 different directions. My energy and my attention and my focus are being literally just robbed from us by all of the different things that we have that, oh, we can just do more, 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 more." It's like your body is craving for you not to do that. If you read this book and are able to kind of get a little bit of traction with some of the small things, then hopefully then the goal is, okay, just showing you that you do have control over your life, showing you that if you come from a negative perspective in life, you're literally sending out basically an order to the universe to bring more of that back to you, rather than if I come from a place of gratitude and positivity and have my mind right as a tool instead of just running rampant all over the place,
mm,
then that's what you're calling back in. When you're really rooted in gratitude and positivity, it's incredible how much different your life is than if you're always the person that's like, "Oh, that went wrong, that went wrong, that went wrong." It's like that's where you're feeding your attention. Of course, it's just
yeah,
gonna continue to be more of the same. So it's like I highly encourage people to do gratitude journals because I think you're gonna find what you're looking for. So if you're always looking for something to be wrong, you will find it. But if you're looking for things that are good and that are positive that happen to you, you're looking for that and you will find more of those things and then you focus more of your attention on that and that will just continue to grow. And that's just one of the simple things where it's like you can do all the research on a gratitude journal you want. There's data that shows how much different your life will be. So it's like as people on this planet, what is your excuse for not doing something? Put a note in your phone that says, "Good things are always happening to me." And then when that way it gives you something to look for. And then when something good happens, put it in there. Or when you get together with friends, instead of complaining about things, have the lead off question that you ask them, "Tell me about a win that you've had lately."
mm.
Look at how different your conversations will be with people in your life if you start reframing how you speak instead of complaining about something or complaining about someone's, gossiping about somebody. That's all low vibe stuff. That's all low vibe emotion. I don't need to live that day again. I already lived that day a bunch. Knowing that you have control over how you're running your life and then do it, right? Show yourself what you can do. There's so many things that are possible.
I also am curious about, you have like a movement with the and sign?
Yes.
Yes.
Let me share with you about that. So,
Yeah.
it's funny because before I quit drinking and before I kind of started on my personal improvement or self-discovery journey, I really always thought that life revolved around Anne. It revolved around me. It's my world and everyone else is just living in it. I was very much in my ego. I had my ego on a very robust diet. And the line of work that I was in, I always got attention, and I was very much into myself. The and symbol, that ampersand symbol, for me after I got sober was something that it really helped me open my eyes to that. It can be me and my husband, me and my children, me
Ah.
and my friends, right? And so it kind of started with that. And now, more recently, understanding kind of the way that the world is right now, and we're so divided on all of the different topics. And it just keeps getting exponentially worse to the point where I think everyone's probably pretty scared about the world that we live in right now. And it's not supposed to be that way, right?
Mm.
But if we keep having all of these things that just they thrive on our division. They profit on our division. And if we open our eyes to that and understand that we're all one. We're all meant
Mm.
to be one. It doesn't matter what color your skin is. It doesn't matter what your sexual orientation is. It doesn't matter what your political affiliation is or where you're from. We are all one. And so, really being able to kind of start a movement that just celebrates unity over division in whatever capacity that is huge. And so, I'm at the point of that, launching that where I'm entertaining collaborations with other people to be able to say, okay, how do we take this to be something that's bigger? Just from an understanding. It's not something that I am trying to do anything other than just bring awareness and help other people realize that it's really about being in connection and community. I don't know how into social media you are, but in America, it's disgusting. It's like I watch all of these people and they're yelling at their people on everybody's commenting and so gross and all of
Mm.
this stuff. And I'm thinking, that's your neighbor Bill, or
Yeah.
that's your sister Sheena. It's like, what are you getting crazy about? But it's
Yeah.
because all of the media and the politics, they all profit on keeping us divided. And so this is just kind of my way of saying is calling BS and saying, "You know what? I don't care, Maria, what your political affiliation is. We're both amazing women and we can celebrate that and understand each other's differences without like we don't have to agree on the same things. You don't have to have the same opinions that I do. I love to know why people have the opinions that they do. And I love
Mm.
to be able to stretch my own mind because maybe I'm going to hear something that you said and go, God, that really resonates with me. That's new information. I may change my mind on something, or maybe I don't, but it doesn't matter. At least being open to that instead of saying, Oh, Maria, you don't agree with what I'm saying. And so you're a bad person. It's like, when
Mm.
did that start? But it really
Mm.
feels like it's getting out of hand. And so for me, the And Project is something where I really believe in the unity and that we're meant to be in community with one another without tearing one another down and dividing us.
Mm. Love that. And I should say that I will put your link so anyone who feels they resonate with this can go into your webpage and I don't know,
Yes.
do they sign up or just say, hey, I also want this?
Yes, just reach out. You can either DM or send us a message through the website just to say that you wanna be part of it. And again, this is very
Mm.
new. This is very initial stages of things, but it really speaks to my heart, and it makes me very passionate about wanting to be able to help other people because I think there are so many of us that feel this same way, but we're just so
Yeah.
beaten down by all of the people and all of the noise. And so being able to really quiet that noise a little bit and connect with other humans that feel the same way that we each do, where it doesn't matter what our thoughts or opinions are. Yes, you can share that, but at the end of the day, we're meant to take care of one another, be in community, be in connection. When
Mm.
you look at all of the things that are happening in this world that really are not great, it comes from feeling isolated, not being connected with one another, not having that human connection. That's not healthy. We're not meant to have that. So, really being able to lean into that and all do our parts, whatever that is. And for me, my part is the podcast, the book, and starting this movement that hopefully will get some really great traction and just bring us on this planet together in a way of celebrating our differences instead of being divided by them.
Yeah. truly needed in these times. And I also feel it's good to have those movements because people, they might think, well, I can't do anything. But yeah, you cannot be part of this part. And that's a little part, but then it grows and it becomes a big movement.
It does, yes, because then
Mm,
people are able to collaborate on different ideas that they have. We've started talking in Phoenix about doing just community events where we can plan something, and it doesn't have to be anything that costs anybody anything. It can be whatever, but just bringing people together that can celebrate our differences instead of,
yeah,
you look on the media and social media and it's like, oh, there's so much hate out there. And so if you weren't out in your community interacting with other people, you might think that that's actually how it is. And I
yeah,
think it's a really unfair depiction of what's happening in the world because we sensationalize all of the gross stuff that's happening and not all of the good things that are happening. So if you're looking at it from the outside, you would think, oh my God, this is terrible. But it really isn't that bad. It's just that's the only thing that they kind of put out there. People are good. People are inherently good. And I think they want good for one another. We just have to kind of get the muck out of the way.
yeah. Good words to end this part of the
Yes.
podcast.
Yes. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Yeah. So we are going to get into the extended version for our Substack listeners. So if this is where we leave the listeners here, I'm just going to say thank you so much for joining this part.
Thank you, Maria. I appreciate you.
You have been listening to Meditation Jam with Maria Rinné, and I am so grateful that you have joined today with your energy. If you liked it, please remember to subscribe, hit the like button and leave a review if there was something specific that you enjoyed. And you will find more links in the text below from my guests and also to my social media if you like to follow me there. So thank you again for joining, and I hope you have a beautiful day, week and month. Satnam.